So it all started nearly 2 years ago on a cold, dark winter night when I was cycling back from my work. I was wearing a hoodie, and on the road I met with my cousin brother, who immediately joked about my hoodie, saying why I was Assassin's Creeding around in the dark. At that time I took it as a joke and continued with the convo. But later that night I thought about it. I definitely had heard about Assassin's Creed, but never actually knew what it was beyond the fact that it was some video game. But I always had this weird idea that Assassin's Creed was this FPS game about modern assassins of sorts. But I felt curious enough to look it up. I searched what is Assassin's Creed on Google and found a Reddit post of someone explaining the franchise. I liked what I read and decided that I wanted to play the game. So I asked my friend how to get into playing Assassin's Creed, and it recommended me to start with Assassin's Creed 2. I opened Steam and looked for Assassin's Creed 2 and found it at dirt cheap price. Yeah, they literally sell the entire Assassin's Creed franchise for peanuts on sales. I bought all except the 2 latest ones. I installed Assassin's Creed 2, played it, absolutely hated it, and didn't play for the next 2 months until I got in a car accident and was literally unable to get off my bed. So now I had nothing else to do except watch YouTube and movies and stuff. Until that got boring too, and so I decided to give the game a second try, and in the following 2 months of rest I did nothing but eat, soil myself and play Assassin's Creed. I finished the entire series in a single go, and honestly I think I'm genuinely a changed person now. Not exactly in the Red Dead Redemption 2's philosophical way, where you start seeing life in a completely different light. But these games definitely changed me a lot as a person in a good way. And honestly, after many replays, I think I'm confident enough to preach about why every gamer should play at least one Assassin's Creed game at least once in his life. Now, without any spoilers or without going into too much detail, here's a more or less quick rundown of what the games actually are. So basically every game is set in some historical time. From as ancient times as Greece from the Peloponnesian Wars, to something as recent as Victorian London. And these worlds are actually pretty spot on. Not just absurdly gorgeous, but they are very accurate. In fact, they are so good, some schools actually have used these games to teach history. Like, who could have guessed that video games and education would be united one day? Anyways, the world of Assassin's Creed has 2 hidden groups, and they both want to achieve a peaceful and stable world for humanity. But the assassins want to achieve it through freedom. They believe that you may achieve peace by dictatorship, but it ultimately sows the seeds of violence. And that people must be free to make their own decisions, even if those decisions lead to mistakes or conflicts. The Templar, on the other hand, believe that humans are naturally selfish and violent and easy to manipulate. That they need guidance because most people don't know what's right for themselves, and so order and discipline is the only way to bring true peace. And all the games basically revolve around the conflicts between them throughout history. That's basically the Assassin's Creed games in a nutshell. Now before you ask, yes, the assassins are based on the real life order of assassins, and the Templars are based on the real Knights Templars. But no, in the games the assassins aren't Muslims and the Templars aren't Christians. In fact, both the groups are much older than both Islam and Christianity. I'm not going to explain it any further because then I might spoil the lore. I think one of the biggest reasons Assassin's Creed is great is because it is a very rewarding activity. Now gaming itself has become quite a rewarding hobby in general, and not just rewarding in terms of just stress relief, but actually teaching things to people. Be it philosophy, morality, creativity, storytelling, or any other thing. And the Assassin's Creed franchise is especially good at it. One of the best things Assassin's Creed teaches is perspective. If you look at the world from a biased perspective, the world is black and white. There are good people and then there are bad people. But in reality, the world is pretty grey. Even our enemies have an understandable reason for what they believe. And instead of seeing bad people as just bad people, you look at them and think, I don't agree with you, but I get why you think that. One example is pirates. I honestly had learned almost absolutely nothing about pirates in my school, and we had like 3 chapters related to pirates in our syllabus. Most of the names I've heard came from movies. To me, pirates were just bad people who looted ships. But after playing Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is easily one of the most enjoyable video games in human history, I still think that what pirates did were bad things, but it kinda makes sense why they choose to do those things. Because most pirates were originally legal sailors who worked under extreme harsh conditions, were underpaid, and the captains were dictators with complete control of everything. So to them, it felt justifiable to do the same harsh work but as pirates. Because it was a much better paying profession, and the fact that you could choose the captain through voting meant the captains were much less ruthless. It's still unjustifiable, but it makes sense. Other reasons were that during the War of Spanish Succession, governments had made it legal for anyone to attack opposition ships and keep the loot. And so many people left their lives to do legal privateering. But then suddenly, when the government made privateering illegal, these people didn't want to go back to their old lives that they had left behind, and instead became pirates. Now the games do romanticize some things. For example, Assassin's Creed Valhalla shows that the Viking raids were fun and glorious, but in reality they were very brutal and nothing about them was honorable. Still, the games give you enough perspective and curiosity that you stop believing what you already know and start asking questions instead. Another thing about Assassin's Creed is that you go in wanting to just have non-stop fun, and you come out as a historian, and as a bonus you end up having non-stop fun anyways. In school we learn history as just dates and figures, like Alexander the Great or Napoleon, and events like the American Revolution or the Renaissance, but they are just that. They feel like some distant entity instead of our own past. I personally wasn't very good at history in school. I wasn't even interested in it. To me, history was like a line before our current time, where all historical things merged, if that makes sense. My closest relation to history were oversimplified videos, and honestly I love those videos, but even watching those videos, history feels like they used to be like that instead of we used to be like that. These games casually make you understand history on a much more intimate level, and also these games are really good at timelines. You understand the timeline difference between different places and eras while also understanding how interconnected they are. Maybe you are a historian, then these games will be fun to see history in real time and judge how accurate they are. If you aren't a historian but like history, these games will definitely expand your knowledge and understanding of history. Instead of reading textbooks, you're running around rooftops like Batman and hunting people like a predator. And if you have absolutely no interest in history at all, you'll still be having a lot of fun just doing things. And there's a decent chance you'll end up falling in love with history anyways. In fact, for someone who likes video games and is also interested in history, these games are like the best way to achieve both. Also, the gameplay of Assassin's Creed is one of the best, especially the freedom of movement. Most open world games are open world but also pretty strict about where you go. Assassin's Creed gives the most freedom of movement out of any video games. If you want to walk around through the streets, just like normally in any game, you can do it. But if you want to reach some place in the most absurd way of parkouring through rooftops, or literally climbing onto weird parts of a statue of a naked man, you are free to do it. This makes assassinating targets, or even just traveling through the map, so much more fun. Also, in different games, you can choose how you want to play. If you like combat to be challenging, you can play Unity. If you like to feel like John Wick, then play Assassin's Creed 3 instead, because Connor definitely feels like an absolute beast. If you want to grind and grow strong, then the RPG trilogy is best for you. I personally really love the combat of Unity. There are many styles in this game, though the most famous ones are the Reaper style and the Ghost style. The Reaper style is basically you infiltrate a place, watch everything from the shadows, calculate everyone's position and strategize and plan to slowly take out every single person one by one from the shadows and then kill the target. Ghost style, on the other hand, is about using stealth to reach your target undetected and killing nobody but the target. This leans more closer to the Assassin's Code of not killing innocents. Or there are other games as well if you're a player who drops themselves in the middle of the enemy and button smashes until everyone is dead. And I think one of the most important reasons to play Assassin's Creed is tourism. If you're like me who likes to visit places without going outside, or want to visit places but don't want to drain your bank account in doing so, you can use Assassin's Creed for tourism. If nothing else, Ubisoft is the master of making gorgeous, accurate worlds. Worlds like that of ancient Egypt in Origins or the Victorian London in Syndicate. The older games can be a little less accurate because of the limitations of that time, but they still are very good. I was actually amazed by how magical Florence felt when I played the game for the first time. I think I have just spent over 20 out of the 60 hours I played Assassin's Creed 2 just roaming around and absorbing the magical atmosphere of the world. And the tourism isn't just any digital tourism but historical tourism. The world isn't just gorgeous, but it feels alive too. Just walking through the streets of Paris during the French Revolution is in itself an experience. You see how people behave, what they talk about, how they dress. It gives a better perspective of the history of the lives of people instead of being limited to just big figures. But one thing I would say, if you do intend on playing the Assassin's Creed games, is that don't turn them into a to-do list. Instead of thinking, I need to complete all the games, pick one game and go in thinking, I will only play this game and not play the other ones. This way, you aren't chasing to finish one game to move on to the other. You enjoy the game because it's the only one you'll play anyways, then after you finish it, and if you crave more, then pick another game and play it. I personally haven't completed Valhalla or Odyssey yet, though I have played both games quite a lot. Because to me, experiencing and having fun is more important than finishing. Anyways, I have been thinking of making even longer videos like this, videos that you can just put on and listen to while working or gaming. And I have also been thinking of expanding into other games. So if you're interested in these things, then you can subscribe for more content.